test the stream, make sure everything's good. Go check that. And I'll start sharing this out. Okay, good. We are on the air. Let me just go and now share this.
Which episode is this now?
Technically for these, I'm not going to number them. Although, there's with nibs and without nibs, we're probably on like episode 15 or 16, but realistically, we're just going to label this as a 4th of July special and leave it as that to not complicate things.
Well, we're live, so there's that.
Oh, yeah.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
We are live. I'm just getting the link out now to people.
Mm-hmm. I can't read the comments. I don't have them out. Hold on, let me see.
That's
if
okay.
there are any.
I don't think there's any yet. I don't even think people realized I was going to be doing this today, so there's that.
Some people, we got the Europeans. They might tune in. The Americans probably are a little busy. Oh, there we go. We got me. I'm a viewer now, technically. Woo! And I gave us a like. There we go.
Okay, share this in a couple other places.
I think, is there a way you could share the link as you're in the editing part? I think so.
It might be for the live stream. I'm not
on the
really
YouTube
sure.
Studio end things, when you set up the name and everything. I don't know about Twitch, but YouTube usually you have something like that. So it's a little ironic, but I have, just by coincidence, an Armenian flag behind me, even though it's Independence Day.
That's what it is.
U.S. flag. But here we are. So.
Well, first, I guess we'll start off with the fact that I don't think anybody should be surprised with how things are going that Fallen Angel Corvus is coming in 2 days.
Yeah, some people expected the base Corvus, and then Fallen Angel. I think was that how it was in Japan? Something like that. And we're getting it the other way around for whatever reason.
I think it was the other way around because I've looked at Voice's database and I could have sworn that the one we're getting came later on. So
that's what everyone's.
Yeah.
That seems to be the consensus. So I'm not researching any of this myself. So I'm just like, go for it. I'm just going to take your word as gospel because I don't care.
And at this point, we're outside the timeline anyway because Zaro dropped a month and a half early. There's been some weird things going on lately.
Is that what you wanted to talk about mostly?
Talk about that. We could talk about how you lost your moderatorship on Reddit. Talk about all sorts of things. Go all over the place.
I'll talk about anything they've talked about. That's pretty much my golden rule. Not golden rule, my rule of thumb here.
Your golden ratio?
The golden ratio. The golden ratio is the hourglass figure. It's not the face golden.
Oh, it's not getting demoted for no reason?
I'm sure there is a face golden ratio that people talk about, but everyone knows it's like bust, waist, hips, and that's the ratio you want, like an hourglass. Like, it doesn't matter what size a girl is, just about.
And of course,
but yeah, that was a conversation for a different day.
Yeah. And then there's this, what's it called? people always making their tier list, and I don't know. I feel like every tier list is just a another chance to fail because people don't account for the full capacity of some of these units and what they can really do. They just,
I just don't
you know,
appreciate when someone makes a tier list and you know what you're hearing in the video as they're making the tier list. I don't know what this guy does, but I'm gonna put him here. It's like, why are you making a tier? Why? Then don't rate him. Just leave him out then. If anything, like rate the ones you do know. I don't know, therefore it can't be that good.
it's
Or
like
something.
I don't know what this unit does, Blossom. So I guess we'll give him this rank. Like, okay,
You know, usually for those tier lists, the top tier units, like the top three, is fine because it's like everyone knows what the top meta units are. But for everything in between, there's just errors after error after error.
right? Because everybody
Uh,
could say Terry's really good. You know, Human Sorrow's really good. Seraphie's still
there's
good.
a
You know,
subjective part to these characters, and there's the, you know, how it relates to your box part of these characters, and then there's like an objective part. There are characters that are objectively, like, you could measure it. There are things about them that you could measure their function that are like different. So it's not like all of it's like, you know, subject to opinion. Some of it is like, no, hard line. Some of these units just are better. The math works out that way. You know, the function. Sometimes it's not just math, like how the units operate just works out that way. You need a unit that has a certain type of utility.
like I would
You need,
probably rank Baramos and Hybrid higher than most people, but I mean, I have them at maximum capability, so most people,
I have hybrid at
yeah.
max, and I'm fine using it. Having a 4 move unit with cleave is, you know, it's something good on every team. As long as you could keep hybrid safe, you know, he's not going to die to anything, then you're fine. Like, what's the worst that could happen to him? Nothing.
Nah,
You know,
he'd be okay. I mean, as for Human Zorro, I think he'll be up like top three, top five for a very long time. I mean, he's just got a lot of versatility to him. If you get a couple of awakenings on him, he's a real badass. So I mean, he'll be around there for a while unless we start getting some real power creep units. You know, post 2 years in Japan, like if they start really going off the reservation with some of the things they can do. For instance, if we do actually get a unit that has 2 turns in one go, that would just break everything.
I think Sorrow's going to stay on top for a while. You know what I've liked about the recent units? Because the top unit was the first Sorrow, technically. Then it was a Stark, right? I mean, technically DKO was supposed to take out both of them, but didn't. His shelf life was very short. A Stark shelf life was pretty short too. Like, he never was very good in Arena, and I noticed that from the get-go. But he just progressively got worse very quickly. Nocturnus had a very long run. He's still viable.
In fact,
Like,
well, I think what makes him viable is the fact that he gets the buff ups for agility, attack, you know, things of that nature, you know, defense.
you build him for agility. Turn one, he goes slow, but he doesn't miss because he's fast, you know? And then turn two, he outspeeds a lot of the enemies. That's not bad.
No, that's
That's
really good, and that's even good for
good.
defense because you take people by surprise. Like all of a sudden, you've just completely changed the turn order, and if he's still in play, and now he's
He
going
scales
first,
very well too with
somebody's
all these
dying.
with awakenings. He scales very well because all those stats that he has boosted, right? He has all of his stats boosted, right? And if you get a higher, you know, your base gets higher and higher, he just scales very well. He scales extremely well. You know, what is it? 45% attack at, no, he's not going to get 45 unless if he's boosted by someone else. But by turn three, if he gets like, I don't know, 30% attack up by turn three, he's pretty boosted by then. You know,
Because somebody
15%
was asking
one.
me, is like, should I level up my Nocturnus even though he's Awakening 1? And I'm like, yeah, I would get your Nocturnus up to
I've
130.
used him.
You may even
I've
get
used,
some extra Awakenings on him with the 1.5 anniversary coming. He's not a bad unit to 130. I mean, right now, what I've got for 130 team, I've got Zorro, Nock. I'm working on him. I'm working on Archdemon, and a couple of others that I'm just kind of slowly getting up there for 130.
I had a mistake with my knock. I was eventually going to take him to the 130. I was keeping him at 120 because, just to manage my resources a little better. I was going to use him for what? I was going to use him for content, and
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up after content, I didn't manage to clear it with him, which was a little ironic. So I had to use it for what was it? Valencia and a few others to try to clear something.
Ah,
Uh, Goodness, what is it? The Dragon Quest Monsters. It's almost gone now. If you haven't finished the event, finish it. There's plenty of good guides out there, and R8, rank 8 can help, but it could also make it worse. In my case, the agility made it worse in a lot of instances.
I mean,
But
I
I did.
used it to bully. I mean, I waited for rank 8, and then I did that three-man matchup, and I used like some broken setup to just completely overpower the enemy and win with little effort.
Yeah, you could do that. Like I used the standard setup that people were using. I was just rank 8, so the agility was all twisted. And some of the units, can't wear the minus agility armor. They could
Right.
just wear the sword. They wear the sword, but then their damage is weaker, right? So I had to make a lot of tweaks here and there to I was actually dealing less damage because some of these units have specialty weapons. Spooky Valencia has a specialty weapon now. So her darkness was hitting more at S7 in their video because she had the weapon. I didn't have the weapon. I had to wear, an HP stick that I rolled it for HP, but it's the Sword of Ruin, reduces your agility. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't end up using Nocturnus too much, but there's a little bit of content I used him on recently even.
Heck,
So
I'm
Nocturnus,
gated
right?
right now,
I
and
had a good
now
long run,
and now I'm
and
super conflicted too, because I want to level Stella to 130, but I don't have. I have one Rainbow Crystal. Corvus is coming out in 2 days, and now it's like,
hold
uh,
off. I mean,
I'm
it's not
probably
going away
overbooked.
anytime soon, is it?
I don't think it is. I don't think her battle road's going away anytime soon. But I always like to get them, done as quick as possible. But in this case, it's like, eh,
I've
I'd save it for
I've
Corvus.
actually, how I farm my crystals, no, sorry, my metals on auto, right, for some of these battle road stages. So I actually had to weigh finishing finishing Stella quicker, or should I just run the standard battle road, which I do, Dragon Quest 1, Battle Road 7, and get more medals for both events. And I've just been running that instead because I know eventually I'll get around to running the other one on auto.
Gotcha.
You could use your, the in-game auto feature or whatever if you
That's what I
set a
do. I mean, I set it to where I got
set a
Stella's,
timer,
what's it
maybe
called? I got her
set a
battle
timer
road done.
and use the in-game one if you have to, and then get back to it every time your timer rings or whatever it is. But
I don't even need a timer. I have usually a good feel for how long it takes to do 60 rotations. I'm really good with math when I need to do it on the fly because I tweak things to where it's just insanely optimal. Like Stella Battle Road 7, I can do that in 4 turns with only using 3 units. And one of them Stella, another one
yeah,
is the
less
food
units, less
dog.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do a similar thing. It's just right now I've been running again Dragon Quest Battle Road 1. That's usually 3 actions for me. I do have crit runaway magic on, Dragon Lord, so I have 3% total with his one base 1% and then the
Well, I
2%.
mean, my Dragon Lord's so powerful, he just
He
cleaves
one
that front low. They're gone, they're done, and then it's just you got to kill that knight in the back. So yeah.
Yeah. I think the sweet spot now is 3 awake. Now that we do have rank 8, I think 3 awake actually could do it as well. As long as you have a decent roll on your staff, you should be fine. But right now I don't have quite that yet. So, 97% of the time it's 3 actions, and 3% of the time it's 2 for me. So it just runs on auto. It's getting me both event medals.
Why
I'd
not?
add everyone to do that. And then once, this is gonna be done, they're gonna release part 2 of Dragon Quest 9. So you're not gonna be farming, 2 events at the same time. So you might as well do Stella's Battle Road. That's like the best time to do it. I still have a few things I want to clear from there, from the Dragon Quest Monster Shop, and then the rest is just going to go into those gold exchanges, and that's gotten me a lot of gold. And if my phone didn't run into errors in the middle of the night, or as I'm falling asleep trying to set this thing up and pass out, if I didn't mess up, I'd probably have like 10, 20,
Now,
30,000
let me
more.
ask you this since I have you here. Have you noticed a lot more errors since the Rank 8 update, or have you had them all the time? Kind of come and
I've
go?
had them before, but now it could be more. I don't know.
Because I've had a
It's just
bit more
well,
happen to me.
it's never happened to you.
No, it's very, very rarely happened to me. I think the last time I had consistent, unknown errors where I got a couple of them in a day, I think was back when Rank 6 came out. And that was because my phone was a piece of shit back then. I mean, I'm using an iPhone 13 now, so I don't know if it was the update or something else, but it's just weird. And other people were having similar issues where the game was just crashing out randomly while doing battle roads. At first, I thought it was maybe something to do with Terry in rank 8, but then I did the Stella battle
I
roads
think
and that
I think I
crashed.
know what you mean now. Yeah, that has been happening. Even in like the middle of the day. It almost feels you never played RuneScape, did you?
Oh, I've played RuneScape. I've played just about
Okay.
every MMO.
All right. You remember back in the day they would have like a bot. A bot would come in or some sort of NPC would come in and say, "Here's a reward" or something
Hmm.
randomly. If you didn't respond to him, it was kind of like the game's way of knowing that you were a bot.
Then the
And
Grim Reaper would come out and fucking wreck you.
yeah, something like that, right? So I
Yeah.
hope it's not the case, but maybe they're doing that to people, so they're just less inclined to.
Well, that would suck because
I
I'm
don't think
using their
it's ever
system.
heard so.
That's the thing. I'm like, I'm using the system you provided. I'm playing the game by the rules, and you're gonna kick me out for
I don't
playing
think
by the
that's what.
rules? I don't think
I
so
think that's
either.
a possibility. I think that's like a 1% chance. I think 99% of the thing is just they didn't do a good job cleaning up all these errors before delivering it
I'm
to us.
assuming at
That's
some point they'll do another, like Ninja patch where they just briefly announce that they're optimizing the game and everything, and then they'll fix it. But
well, it could be
you
with
know,
the Square Enix bridge too. You never know. It could be with like the whole thing. But I don't play in any of the other
but
games, so I don't know.
speaking of Square, I'm a little confused still to why they don't want to do their own Discord and Reddit community, and they just leave
I
it to
didn't buy
people.
that. I didn't buy that because Echoes of Mana isn't that their newest game, or they haven't came out with the next one. The next one's going to be
It's pretty new. I mean, the only thing
it,
I could
it's
think
the newest.
of is maybe they didn't have anybody have a foundation, so they had to
They're
make their own. I don't know.
they, I don't see why they would need to make a foundation. Like even if someone did make a foundation, it just burns and it's no neutral ground. Let people have their foundation. Imagine you have a drama. How well has this worked out for you having Fight Club? You
It's
never used to have one, right?
well, I mean, we didn't really have it before, and when we put it in, it worked out a lot better. I mean,
So,
generally,
so take it
you know,
this way: your server was a bit drama oriented in a sense
yeah,
that you didn't have rules. It was kind of like the Wild West, right?
yeah.
Like anyone could do anything. And for you, you don't care anyway, right? But from the perspective of people that like controlled chaos, uh, in that kind of sense, from that person's standards, it worked a lot better, right?
Well, yeah, because people
Having
didn't have things build up. They handled their business. When you guys had your snafus, so to speak, with AW, people just kind of went ham on it, and they got out what they needed to say. And then when BDS had their snafu, they ran away from the server. So it all worked out.
I found that when you and Nero were fighting, I felt in my heart that it would kind of resolve. I don't know why I thought that. But, two people go at it, and sometimes they come out better for it, and I can't stifle that kind of conversation. If I did, imagine, because I was getting people telling me I should
Well, then,
have.
it could have ended up being worse at that point. Then it could have escalated somewhere else, and it could have had a different turn of events. And it's kind of hard because everybody wants to do what's best for people. And Nero over there's like, well, I don't need protection. I don't need people telling me this and that. I can defend myself, you know. And I agree with them. They're able to defend themselves. They handled themselves pretty well, and then they bitch slapped Chase the other day, and he ran into hiding.
Yeah, Near's a fun character for
I was
sure.
amused. I was thoroughly amused.
Yeah, so I can't stifle. In my mind, I just can't. But I did make it a little more explicit. I did make it a little clear, and I took a page out of your book or your wife's book, whoever had the idea, I don't know, for Fight Club, and I just made the Wild West. And I think the name was your wife's suggestion as well. So I do appreciate that because it just made it even more streamlined and even more clear. I think our community's in a unique place that other communities aren't because we do have like a no holds barred channel. If people do go at it in that channel and Square did, let's say, for instance, make their own Discord, I think one of their complaints was that there was drama on, was it Marvel? Marvel's huge, by the way, so moderating that would be a nightmare anyway. But basically, that wouldn't happen. They would take it to your server. They would take it to, my server's even a little bigger. They might take it to the Wild West or Fight Club, and you would never see it on a official Discord. You'd never see it. And I'm pretty good at these predictions. I I got my original post I made for my server on the main server. We'll call it Marco Cord. But the main post I made at the time, let's call it Meow Cord.
Yeah,
Uh,
Meow
it got
Sanctuary.
taken down by Risefall because Risefall he messaged me. He's like, "Okay, it's against our rules." I know. He said, and I was like, "Hey, man, I wasn't trying to." He's like, I know, it's okay." I was like, "Okay," and I played it really sweet to him, and I was like, man, my server really only is for people to find guides. I'm not stealing any of the social thing you guys got going on at your server. People come to my place for guides and then they leave. I'm not stealing anybody. And I knew that from the get-go. I made it and I kind of had that prediction in my mind and it turned out that way. My Discord isn't a social Discord. Everybody knows that. I knew it before it even happened. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna come on record and say if they did come out with a Discord, we wouldn't have drama like let's say Marvel did, because Marvel didn't have community-made Discords where you could have the drama go. Basically,
Right, there were
if
no
you
outlets. The
conversation happening, it just boils over.
the only
What's
downside is you would have.
there's a saying they have in America: if you make uh, peaceful protest illegal, you make violent protest inevitable, or something like that, right?
That
So
makes
the
sense.
idea is you give like a place where it's kind of greenlit, so people go there, they take it there, and they keep it out of everywhere else, and that's pretty much how it would go. Um, I think I think it would go just fine
Just
for
the
an official.
only downside is that Chase could end up coming back and Lavel and other people, and
You know,
maybe they'll get kicked out of that server too, because that seems to be
maybe
their
he might,
special trait.
he
Who
might not,
knows?
but I think even if he was there at this point, it would be he would have to follow the rules, and I feel like it would be just like everybody else. We need some sort of neutrality. Uh, and I would welcome it. I would definitely welcome it. I don't think anything wrong would happen out of it,
Because
for
I'm
sure.
at the point where it's like, well, when do you get banned? When do I get banned? When does some other shit go down now? And people are like, oh, that's not going to happen. But when you give somebody the
It-
keys to the kingdom and they're having a bad day or something, well, shit happens.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I just know that the reason that they gave for the first, and he felt like there was a need to give a reason, and it was obviously a lie. But yeah, uh, I feel like he had to come up with some sort of justification because he knew that the community would be on him about
Well,
that.
here's what he told me. He said he left my server because of you and your drama and what you say about his guild, but then he has no problem hanging out on your hub where we still have a drama section and we talk shit about his guild anyway. But he's like, oh, the guides are too good to pass up. Like,
But
Well,
you're also on his server. I'm on his
right,
server.
it makes no sense at all.
We don't we don't do anything. But yeah, we're there. We're all
Yeah,
following the rules.
it makes no sense at all. So it's like, it's
Uh,
silly,
none of
and they
the other
took,
arguments make
you
sense
know,
either for the removal from like Reddit or anything. None of it. But he felt the need to give a reason. If he didn't give a reason and stick to the reason, uh, however fallacious it was, uh, maybe he would sound like he didn't have an argument at all, and that would be bad. But drama, it's drama.
yeah,
It
it's
is what it
PC Marco over there, as AA says,
is. Pseudo PC,
pseudo
pseudo,
PC Marco. But
because it's
so yeah,
not even. It's like what, a thought crime? It wasn't even a thought. I didn't even think to do anything to the Reddit. You know, I didn't. I certainly didn't make threats that I would do anything.
right. The only
Um,
person who did make threats to do stuff was Hex. let's get that. Let's get that very clear. That was the only person who made any sort of threats,
and
and
is that a
they were the
public
victim in all
Discord?
this,
Is
apparently,
that a
from their
public
eyes.
Discord? Are there people other than RIT and
Well, there were
BDS
like
there?
60 something people on that Discord. I mean, there
Okay,
was
so
a
that's
decent
more
amount.
than just two guilds. That's more than just two
Right.
guilds. Okay.
And four people came to me. Met, of course, obviously met, announced that he was one. There were three others. And it was just like, I'm reading some of this, and I'm like, there's other people here who didn't tell me anything. Like Putty didn't say anything to me, and, I've known Putty forever. And, of course, after the
Did
dust
they did
settled,
they know about those other messages that
I don't
because
think
you
they did,
had to
though.
figure out the context
I
clues
think the
there?
only one who maybe knew
Because
about
they would
them
have had to
was
see what
Putty.
Hex posted on your server, remembered it, and then they would have had to seen what he posted on their server to then draw the conclusion that the type of fetish would be a certain type of fetish that I won't repeat here because I think that
Right, right. So three of them did it out of like, hey, I don't know what's going on here. This is a little weird. And Met did it because he knew a little bit more on the inside, and he's like, this guy's unhinged. Something could happen here really bad. So like three of them were along the lines of, hey, what's going on here? This is what's being said. And Met's like, this guy may actually do something. You may want to, handle business in his own way. He said that to me, and I'm like, yeah, yeah.
I don't even know what got the conversation to that point for them. Whatever.
It is what it is.
I think a neutral server would be a good idea. I think that Echoes of Mana being so new, they're also releasing Octopath Traveler. I think is that what it's called for the next
So
new.
that is a very interesting game because, from what people have told me, it's going to be like another Eden. If anybody's played that, now
No stain.
I don't know if it is though because this is Square. Square handles things a little bit differently. They may try and milk money out of this game a bit more vigorously as opposed to how another Eden was handled. And maybe another Eden's changed. I haven't played it in over a year, but that was a heavily story-driven game. The gacha wasn't as really needed for most of the story content. You could just get free pulls, clear with what you had, and go about your business. But there were some EX fights in that game where you kind of needed some units to do, but it didn't hinder the actual story. Kind of like DQT. You're going to be able to clear most of the main story, most of the fights, except for like a couple of EX fights. You're going to have a problem with. You need to have a good box, have some solid units, or have real sound strategy to be able to execute those fights.
Seems pretty standard, but I'm just going to keep a lookout. If they decide to make a server for that one, a Reddit for that one,
Well,
that's
it's hard because there's been things that have been said before where one of the things that was said, and I know this person said it, was that they're not trying to accelerate the content speed in DQT, and that was said quite some time ago, and here we are on the fast track. Sorrow's getting put out a month and a half early.
He also asked
You
if
know,
we would be fine with them accelerating, and I think the overall community was like, yes, but make a bigger overlap, so that way make the events longer, even if they're the beginning of them starts sooner, make them overlapping or something,
and it's
or
obvious
give
they can
they
because
given
just
us
looking
enough
at
time.
looking at Zorro, they can obviously do that because they added him early. And, the time duration for Zaro, I think, is longer for us than it was for JP. I think, I'd have to go back and look, but I definitely think
So if
we
you
got
want, you could
Zaro longer.
literally spend way more tact on him than you could have in JP. So that's a solid difference right there. Um, it helps. It helps because most units, since we're on an accelerated timetable, their viability isn't going to be as long. The power creep is creeping a little quicker, right? So whoever dethrones Sorrow is going to dethrone him a lot quicker than they would have for, you know, JP,
Right,
which is
whoever
going
that may
to.
be. I'm not really sure yet who that's
I'm
going to be.
I'm just going to save most of my gems. I'm going to get a few units here and there, but I'm going to save a big bulk. Once when we are caught up, maybe they keep us just 1 week behind JP for all I know. That way events can more or less line up. Um, or they make us exactly the same day. I doubt it because they want to translate, they want to do things. So I think if they kept us like a week or two behind, like Christmas 1 week early wouldn't be like the end of the world or
No,
something.
it'd be
One
okay. It'd be.
week
I don't think
would be.
anybody except for,
Um,
Mr. Angry would be upset about that.
yeah. So 1 week late Christmas, and they probably start the JP one early anyway for Christmas. It runs to the 25th, starting from like the 17th or something. And ours would start on the 25th, running to like the 31st or something. And that wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad at all. Let's say theoretically, that would work. But once when we do finally get caught up, that's when I'm spending gems on the next Sorrow or something because that unit's going to have a longer stint of viability than Sorrow could because we're accelerating. Like I have no choice. I have to do something, right? Um, and I feel like that's the best thing I could do in this situation. Is just hold
Right, because
out.
there are a couple of units where if you
Because they're
didn't
trying to
get
rush
them,
us through all of these and get us to buy them all at once, and I'm just like, okay, well now I won't get any of them. Now I just won't get any of them. Might as well. I mean, if I have something for the 45K, I will. But unless if I have 45, I'm not spending on nobody. Uh, I'm not getting anything from tickets either. You've heard my bad luck.
yeah, I've I
It's
think
like
the last one I got was
680,
Hadler. Hadler and
690.
well, actually, I got Zorro and I got Hadler off of tickets. So those were I did get those, but then I tried pulling for Zorro after, see if I can get lucky and get an extra one early, and well,
I
that
think I'm nearing like
hasn't happened
700
yet.
tickets with no banner S units now, so something like that.
Shit.
So it's pretty ridiculous.
And I'm
But my
even
gem
tempted to jump on the new dragon banner. I'm like looking at the two dragons,
good.
and
Green
I'd like to, but Corvus is coming, so it's like, eh. But I'd want the A rank unit actually. I like the idea of getting that Frizz Force and combining it with Elena, because Elena's pretty broken. You can do some really fucking crazy things with Elena if you stack buffs on her and send her out there with her ability to, have a higher crit and do some crazy
Yeah,
damage. I mean,
Kid Dairy.
I cleared Corvus EX with her. She did a 9k crit, wiped him out, and then everything else
You
was
have to
easy.
do
You know.
Do you have the young Terry?
Yeah, so I've got young Terry. He's got his buff. I've got Seraphy, and then I think I
You get
also
the
use
three attack
Gildan.
stacks, basically 3 stacks of attack, 3 stacks of potency, and Frizz Force. Had you had the Frizz Force, dude.
I didn't have Frizz Force. If I had Frizz
But if
Force,
you
that
did,
would have been an
you
extra
did.
20% on top of that 9k damage. That would have been crazy.
Does that scale at the end or in between, or how's
I
that?
don't know, but I want to get it just to test it and play with it. I'm very
20,
curious.
imagine 20% just to the 9K. That would be pretty crazy, but
I don't know what the multiplier would be, but it'd be an extra multiplier nonetheless. And I remember the first time I actually had to use Elena as a crutch was, I think, Mordegon EX. I was like, I have to get a fucking crit with her to clear this guy, or I'm not getting this match done. And she did a lot of damage and took care of business. And I was like, man, I've been sleeping on this unit for a long time. Never really used her too much, and now it's like, okay, I hope I'll get an awakening or two extra on her and get some more attack and stats up. But I got her to 130 quickly. I was like, yeah, You're going to 130. You you get a pass. Yeah, Elena's not a unit you want to mess with in arena. You do not want to take a hit from her because if she
You
can
just
crit you,
throw
you
Dole
will.
in front of her. She can't do anything. You could throw Corvus in front of her too now, and she won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, but people don't know that. There's people who think that,
Well,
she
it's
comes
funny
down and
because some
hits
people
and,
didn't know this. Some people are waiting for the kits to get so good it does the thinking for them. Like Corvus can't miss on some catastrophe. He can't miss. So he doesn't pay attention to any of the evasion or whatever that Elena has. I don't know if that counts agility differences too, or if it just counts the evasion only.
I
Um,
don't know. We'll have to test it out. I mean, I'm
but,
going to try and get him. I'm going to do the
but he
free
can't
tickets
miss.
and wait, but,
So
yeah.
what we had through strategy, months and months ago, some of these other players will finally have brain dead just handed to them on a plate. You know what I mean? Where
Oof.
he can't.
Whereas my main strategy was bait her down and then use Baramos to confuse her and then just beat the shit out of her. That was my strategy for taking her out, and it worked every time. I mean, she lost more than half of her health between his confusion, and even though she's heavy bang resistant, she still took an extra like 200 damage. So, I mean, she took an easy 6 to 700 HP hit, and then it was just an easy finisher off for another one of my units because she can't avoid that confusion beam. She can't dodge it. Nobody dodges
I've,
the confusion beam.
I've surprised. I mean, surprisingly gotten through most content without her. It was definitely hard. I mean, the max awake OKM it hits weaker than a one awake Elena. That's even if he does crit. So I had him crit on the 1 or 2% chance or whatever it was. I don't know if I had her dagger or whatever, and it still wouldn't hit as hard as Elena would. It was stupid.
Because it's her
Uh,
blossom. Her blossom is ridiculous. It's just like why I'm
no, she has.
waiting for Zoma to get a
But,
blossom.
but yeah, so she's pretty good. She's not required any, but she's pretty good. Um, yeah, that's all I'll say about her. Yeah, blossoms are going to give a lot of viability. Hopefully, with the 48-hour banners coming up, people could get a Stark along with their Nocturnus, and maybe a Stark one of these days gets his blossom too. You never know.
It's tough
That
to
could
say
be.
because I feel like they did the blossoms off of unit popularity in JP, just kind of like how
Well, they
Barbaros got
eventually
one
got
early.
around to doing Hargon, and Hargon was at the bottom of that poll. So they did Malroth first, and now they're doing Hargon. All that's left is what? Sorrow and Zoma? Were those the two on the poll? No, Sorrow and
Wait, they
Sorrow the
actually
Man.
did a poll for who they were going to blossom?
Yeah, and they chose Malroth. Malroth was at the top of the list.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they did a poll in
Yeah, Zoma
JP.
wasn't even on the pool to choose from.
Fuck.
So they didn't even vote for him. But they were voting between Malroth, Sorrow the Manslayer, Hargon, and one other unit. I can't for the life of me remember. Maybe DKO? No, it's not DKO. I
I
think it
mean,
was Mizo or something.
if they do Sorrow, that would be ridiculous because he's got Reflect on him, and he would get, he'd get some sort of buff. Because let's face it,
I hope he scales well. I have him
he
max away.
he's
Just my
been he's been phased out hard. He got phased out pretty quickly too. Now that I think about it, I mean, he was good for a solid maybe month and a half, and then he just disappeared from the face of the earth because there were some pretty hard counters to deal with him.
yeah, DKO hits him pretty hard at the time. A Stark could still do the typeless damage to him should he need to. A lot of stuff was going on. A Stark could heal. So even though Zam resistance on Sorrow, the Manslayer, he was pretty good. He still was pretty good against
Dranik was
the
asking about DKO and normal Orgdemir getting a blossom, but I think they've haven't been out long enough to get one. In fact, I think Hargon and Ricard are probably going to be the newest
What is the
units to get one.
oldest unit on the timeline that got a bloom? Was it Hargon? Because
Mm,
Hargon was in September for us.
Maybe
Um,
maybe Hargon, maybe Hargon or
what else
Ricard
has gotten
in that set.
Bloom? Who's the latest unit in the timeline that got a Bloom?
I think it was Hargon, Ricard, and the other chick, Personella. I forget her name. I think those are
Oh
the
no.
next ones.
Okay. Huh.
But
Were they're all on the same thing though, right?
right,
Same event.
kind of like they did the brides all at once too, like Nira, Bianca, and Deborah are all getting their blossoms at the same time, so they did them in a set, which is weird because they weren't doing sets before. I mean, Queen Slime is technically getting a blossom before Slime. Slime's not getting his anytime soon, and they were part of a technical set, quote unquote.
Hmm.
And Bugman
Who knows
says,
what they're
there's
gonna do?
there's
I mean,
possibility they'll do Zoma for an anniversary. They will, they'll do him for the next anniversary for a
didn't
blossom.
they usually do the A rank as a set with the S ranks?
Yeah,
Usually, like
yeah, they
in
do
group.
like So they, I think the next one's gonna be when Queen comes out. It's gonna be her, and then whichever A was in her battle road. I don't remember if it was Dragon or the other slime. So they'll get a blossom.
Okay.
I just know I have a Max Awaken Clean slime, so whenever they do put her blossom out, I'm gonna get it just to see how it plays. Kind of like how I got Highbird done. I was like, huh, let's see what Highbird's blossom looks like. This seems interesting, and now he's super fast and he does a lot of damage, but he doesn't do enough to like 1 KO even with his breath.
I think Queen Slime's gonna be great. She has a little bit more, danger with her with the charm than KSS ever he has. So
Well, plus
she's
she's going to
definitely
be
gonna be a
decent in crack damage, and I feel like not a lot of people have a solid crack damage. I mean, I've got KM and Zoma, and how many times do I? Well, I technically use KM for the all-out battle EX. I did use him on one of the fights, but he's few and far between where I actually bring him out for something.
Mhm.
Oh, Bugman saying her A rank doesn't get a blossom when they release her JP one, so that's different too.
I guess that's
So she
well,
was added on with Nightclubber and Tusketeer, which
I'm just disappointed. Mine's only, one away, but I'm just hoping Queen Slime turns out. It'll be like another
I'm
KSS.
just happy whenever any of the legacy units gets a blossom because most of those are max awakened, awakened plus at this point. So whatever happens with them, it's just like, oh, okay, so I get a free powerful unit like Squid. Like when Squid got his blossom, this is great. He gets the extra move, he gets the tackle, and I can't tell you how many times he's gotten me a win or helped me get a perfect week because he has the extra range, or he'll just pull a crit out of his ass and just take out 2 units, no problem.
There you go. We're hearing from Bugman that is almost pretty popular in JP. He almost rivals, Dragon Lord in popularity.
Right,
That's
so
like
he was saying they may actually do a blossom for him towards an anniversary, or they'll do something special for him, which we'll see what happens. Although,
mine is 4 awake. I would take a Blossom any day. That sounds
well,
great.
mine's max, and I think it's got some awakening plus on it. So yeah, I will take a blossom on that unit, please. I put a lot of money into that fucking banner back in the day.
I didn't put any money into mine.
I hate you, lucky bastard.
Alright,
So yeah, that's going to be
we'll see
interesting.
how
I
lucky
mean, the other
it
thing
will.
here is now because of how they've sped up things. How many free to play players do you think are kind of low on their reserves at this point, are really hurting because of, you had Terry, who you definitely want to pull on, Human Zorro, you definitely want to pull on, um, even Diamond Slime potentially. He's not. I mean, because you could still use your cover tanks, but he definitely takes a lot of the guesswork out. So it's like if you pulled on all 3 of those units, what do you have left at the end of the day as a free player?
Remember my all-nighter stream? Remember when I
Which
had that
one?
realization? Let's say Malroth, the Malroth EX fight.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that was the first fight that I didn't manage to do. All the other ones I gotten it like to the wire, and I'd cleared them. Every other one I'd clear either before or down to the wire. And that one time it finally caught me. Like I couldn't do it. The RNG I had it worked out, but none of it lined up. And then I realized I wouldn't get every
Icon.
icon. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kind of after that moment it broke me. In the sense that that dream or that kind of vision that I had was is gone. It's like now I'm reassessing the situation and saying, okay, how am I playing this game now? I'm no longer gonna put. I put other long streams in, but none of them was quite like that one. Set the tone, I think, for me. And I think other people that are pulling now, they're like, I can't get these units anymore. And then it just breaks them, and they'll realize, okay, then fine, I won't pull on anything. And they'll just go, I'm going to wait for, who knows, a long time before some of them pull. I think this is going to break a lot of people. They're just going to have that realization that they just can't have everything. They can't. And they're not going to. They're just going to let it go. A lot of players, I mean,
Well, it's kind of like
you
the
know,
die units
whales are
when
going to spend, but other
people
people might not.
realized with the die units that they're not coming back anytime soon. We may find out tomorrow on the live stream if they they answer my question about die and it's part two. Maybe they'll come back, but if they say no, I I'm gonna be a little bitter because I couldn't get an extra awakening on Hadler. He's stuck at 2 awakenings. I wanted to get him to 3, or other people couldn't get Heineken or Die or any
Could
of
you
these other
imagine how
ones.
bad those units would suck if they never got a balloon? They
They
have to
may
come
never,
back in form or fashion.
and I don't know the legality of it because of the collab. None of that stuff makes sense to me. It's like the game
Hey,
not
they could
giving
have
chat.
a chat, but every other game could.
Yeah,
They can't have
right.
a Discord, but other games totally
Right,
have an
no
official
chat, no
Discord. Newer games
Discord,
have a
no
Discord.
Reddit. They don't want to be bothered with any of that, which maybe
How
it
how
keeps,
quickly did Die get its chat? How quickly did some of these other games?
Die had its chat day one for its guild. They had it in
Uh-huh.
day one.
When did Echoes of Mana have its Discord?
I don't know when Echoes of Mana had
Before
its
it even
Discord.
released.
Although,
Before it
I
even
will say
released.
this, I don't think Die has an official Discord. I don't think
Hmm?
it does. I think it's just a fan Discord. I don't think they
No,
have.
the Die one doesn't. Die doesn't, but the Echoes of Mana is even newer than Die, and that one does.
Although, I still think that Die may go the way of the Dodo after first anniversary coming up in September. Its numbers are looking pretty bad. I don't know what's going to happen there with that game, but hopefully it's
Oh, well,
fixed up.
oh well, I didn't stick with it, so it won't affect me.
Well, we all quit. We gave it. My wife played it. She got bored of it. I lost interest after a while. You lost interest. Most of us just it just wasn't any staying
It's a
power in the
shame
game.
because I did everything so efficiently, and I didn't want to let it sink. That's usually the problem with the gotcha games. You just don't want to let the account sink and fall into obscurity. But what am I gonna do? I was saving for a long time, hoping for, I guess, bot on or somebody else like that to come out, someone powerful, and then spend. So, as a free to play player, I would
I
have some
did
sort of
stick around for him. I did get him, and he didn't feel as powerful as I thought he was going to be, and that's when I quit.
even his equipment. Like if you
Even
had
his
maxed it.
equipment, I didn't max it, but I got it up there. Although, even though I maxed out Die's stagger almost, I got to like 4, or I did get to 5, and I got a skill to like 3. And doing that set me up for most of the game for easy wins. And because I couldn't match that with Baron, it just Die was still better. Die was still a better unit for me. Which maybe that's good in terms of the game itself, but I can't imagine that's good for revenue if I was able to use the starter unit with a souped up weapon and just clear everything.
Mm,
That'd be like, having Dark Lord and you not needing any other units, and Dark Lord just clears every EX fight until the end of time.
nah, I mean that would be great for me.
Well, Oh yeah,
I mean, not
people
that
love
bad,
it,
but
but that
that
costs
wouldn't
people
drive
money.
any revenue or anything else for the game. That would be pretty bad.
Right.
We want them to be a little malicious, make their money, but not too much. So they got to do something, make it worthwhile, pull on people, but not, not like desperate and whatever. It's an art. It's not a science.
And it's one of those things where if you go too aggressive, you end up like Diablo Immortal, and people will never play the game again. But if you don't do enough, the game shuts down. So
How'd
it's
Diablo do? How are they doing now that things have cooled off with the news about it?
they made a decent amount of money, but they've lost a lot of people, and they've pissed off a lot of people to the point where folks may not even play Diablo 4 when it comes out. I may not even play Diablo 4 when it comes out with how bad they handled that game and how they talked about adding microtransactions into it. It's like I don't want to play a game with a cash shop that I had to put $60, $70 into to sit down and play on a console. I don't want to do that. Here, this game, it was free. Cool, sure. That's the model we went with. Would I have liked this model to have been a $60 box experience or Dragon Quest hack? Sure, but then it wouldn't have had as much content as it has now. It would have been, lesser shelf life, and we would have been waiting for Dragon Quest Hack 2 to come out, you know. So it's bittersweet.
Hmm. So you're getting one copy of each Corvus,
Unless I get
and
stupidly lucky, yes.
you might fragment them. So
Yeah.
if you go to, let's say, 6K and you get them, do you go all the way to the 30K?
I might. We'll see.
But if you get them at like 42, so right before the pity's gone. You're not going to go any further.
That'd be fucking crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm setting
Would-
myself up for failure because then the next pity's at 90K from there, and that's another. Yeah, no.
Yeah, so you would stop. In that case, you would stop. But if you're like
Yes,
close to the 30K mark, you go to 30K.
might as well.
Okay.
I'm not going to be
Well,
like Met and just go to the 90.
well, he has his certain units that he's planning to still go for the 90, even as we speak.
Which
He
is
has it.
every unit.
Not every unit. No, there's some where he's. I mean, if he pulls on a unit, he usually does max them.
Yeah, he goes all in. Hopefully his girlfriend doesn't kill him.
I think he makes a lot of the money. So there you go. So that's helpful.
Yeah, apparently it works
I mean,
like
he spent
overtime or
all.
some shit to get the money. It's like we live in a society now where people have to work overtime to get enough money to do enough gambling to, I guess, appease their urges or whatever. It's like, shit. Yeah, I guess I could work overtime and max away get more units, but I don't want to work an extra 10 or 20 hours a week. Fuck no. Would you?
Hmm. I
For a
wouldn't.
game?
I wouldn't. No, not for a game. Never. No. Like that's what made me quit Fire Emblem Heroes. I realized that every minute that I spend in the game, their gotcha system's so good that if you spent real world currency, I think you could get a lot farther in that game than you would just farming the events and stuff like that. Like there's no grind amount of grinding that you could do in that game that would be more meaningful than just working a few extra hours and just autoing a game that you don't care about, that you don't even play, to win. So
Oh,
you'd be paying for the game that you didn't even care about at that
I
point. And I
do
realized,
have some good news. So I went and I looked up the numbers to see if June was out. So the June numbers are out for Die. Die had 5K downloads on Android and 50K revenue. And then for Dragon Quest Hack for the month of June, we had also 5K downloads or less, somewhere within there, same as Die. But we were at 300K revenue for Android. So we're doing good. I think last month we were at 250 or 300K as well. So we're either making more or doing about the same. So I can see why they're trying to accelerate us.
Well, that's maybe the result of them trying to accelerate us, but I don't think they could juice out that much more money uh, just by speeding things up. Sure, it worked for now. Maybe,
Right.
the whales still have to spend what they have to spend, regardless of what the rest of us normal people are doing. But I think they're just losing out on revenue over time. Uh, they get that, a little bit rushed here, but it's not going to be better on the long run.
Oh, and
Pro-
Echoes of Mana is a newer game. I just double checked. That game
It's
came
the
out
newest
back in April 30th is when it released of 2022. So it has been out
for
for,
global.
yeah, less than 3 months. And right now it is actually doing less than Dragon Quest Hack per month. It's doing 200k per month, but it's at 40k downloads. And maybe that's because of the Discord and the community there that it's getting more
They have a
downloads,
lot of support. I think it's
Yeah.
posted in game. They have a Twitter, they have a Facebook, they have a Discord, a
Which
Reddit. I don't know if they have a Reddit.
here's what I'm going to say to Malcolm. Okay, you don't want to do this. Well, why did you do this for the newer game then? What is so different about Echoes of Mana that they get preferential treatment, but
He's on there
you know,
too. I've seen him on that server. He's like one of the main people there. Not the main person, but he's definitely one. He's more active than Glacie is with us, for instance.
right? So it's just like I don't get it at all. I don't understand it to any stretch of the
Maybe it's just a
imagination.
new model, a new experiment that they have going on. I don't know.
But I will
But
say
if
this:
they
Dragon Quest TAC in JP is still one of the highest performers for them. There's a couple other little games, but Dragon Quest TAC in Japan is still doing like 3 mil a month over there. It's yeah,
we could be their runoff. It doesn't have we don't have to outperform them. We don't
no,
have to come
we're
close.
just run off at this point, which is fine because they're trying to use us to help break into the
Yeah,
global
so
market
they should
more
just
anyway.
give us the community Discord.
Yeah,
Uh, they should just give us the community Discord.
and then also oddly enough to further make things feel really bad, Dragon Quest Shacked for the or not Dragon Quest Act, Dragon Quest Heroes or Dragon Quest Die or Die Heroes is actually being outperformed by Global Die. So Dragon Quest Die in Japan it gets 6k downloads and 200k revenue last month. So we're actually outperforming even their Japanese market for that game, which is technically we're outperforming their Japanese and their global market in terms of revenue per month right now.
The
So
anime shuts down, that game shuts down, man.
I think that's what's going to happen, although it may be a little bit sooner because they are pretty far into the game. Like they are already at like the White Palace, and they last I checked, so they were actually kind of lockstep with the anime, and the anime only has maybe what another 18 episodes left or something.
Probably, probably. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know
There's
how much
space
longer.
in
And I
the
don't like to be
episode.
the doom and gloom guy on that, but there's times where you can look at something, you could be like,
The numbers
you
don't
know,
lie.
these numbers don't lie, and it's not like somebody who's like, well, 200 or 300,000 really isn't that much money, but then they compare it to Dokkan
That's
Battle,
the thing,
and
though, is we're talking about it with the Dragon Quest TAC
right, we're
community.
not comparing it to another
Gloom
game.
Doom, the Die people. We're not hopping on their Discord telling them, "Hey, did you know this game's probably gonna disappear?" Making them
Right, and
freak
I'm
out.
not
It might really
comparing, you
disappear
know,
sooner.
I'm not like, well, we're in trouble because War of the Visions, a Final Fantasy game, is making 800k and we're only making 300k. That's apples to oranges. That's a different franchise. That's a more popular franchise in the West. Of course, they're gonna do a bit more there. So certain things don't make sense. But I get how people like to fearmonger and be like, well, Dragon Ball this is doing very well, and this game it's like no, you just either you
Yeah,
don't get it or you're doing this to scare people, but the game isn't in dire straits. Die is in more dire straits than anything because a global version of a game should not be outselling a global and Japanese version of the game at the same time. That's kind of scary.
I just think, the community Discord would get way more people involved. Maybe we'd get more downloads. Who knows what would happen with that? I just know when I added the Wild West, for instance, for the drama that they're so afraid of happening on the main on an official
Oh,
Discord.
Marco Cord.
No, the official. Like if they actually decided to go with an official
Oh,
Discord, their only reservation about it is that drama would hit them and hit the general this community manager very hard, because apparently the community manager got all the blame for everything that was happening on the Marvel one, and it was, I don't know, maybe it was undue. I wasn't there, but that's what Malcolm was making it seem like. But
so
look
wait,
look
by
what I
the
did.
Marvel one, do you mean like a Marvel phone game, or do you mean like Marvel Avengers? Because
I think Marvel. I don't know. Marvel Avengers. Is that what the Square does? They do Marvel Avengers.
they that was with Crystal Dynamics and Square backed it, but they did a really shit job on that game. They really botched that IP up hard, and
Yeah, so
it
they
was
had a
sad.
Discord for that one, and the CM. You could look up the chats that Malcolm put on Marco Cord. Um, they said that the CM got hit really hard, and it was brutal. So I don't know what happened there. I wasn't involved in it, but if he wanted to avoid something like that for the Dragon Quest Tact community, I just don't think it would happen. Look, you got your drama channel. I have mine. Since I don't really moderate much. I don't like banning speech. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. I'm sure you don't either. But if I was that type of person, I get messages from people about what to delete, and I just don't delete it. But imagine, ever since I got the Wild West, there's less things that people want to message me about now to delete, because uh, there's just less moderation that needs to be done.
Right, and it's like,
It,
well, if you go into
it's
that
easier for me
channel,
because
that's
if
on
it's
you.
all on the Wild West, and people are like, "Hey, you can't really complain. It's on the Wild West. What did you expect would happen?" I don't need to moderate. It's more efficient for people that are running a Discord to have a drama channel, and so it's a lot less work on your part. And it you have these kind of like buddy moments, the Nira Kage moments,
To be honest, I
Uh,
think that upset them even more than anything, because
maybe they
you know.
just don't. What is it? They don't like happiness. They don't like that they were wrong. Like
Oh, I
they
mean,
wanted the didn't work, that the happy ending actually happened because you did the right thing. That would obviously infuriate them even more. But you know, who knows?
who the fuck knows? So,
Up
yeah,
to
there's
them.
that. There's, let's see. I mean, I'm just kind of sad we're not going to get an actual official Discord, because we still don't have a chat in the game, and they're not going to advertise Marco Cord or my Cord or your Cord in the main game for a place for people to go. And
No,
just for an
even Marco
example,
Ford
I
the
actually
score.
stumbled onto
I'm
like a
pleased
small
to do it.
community for this game. I was just looking
I'm
around and like, oh, I found another group that plays this game, and I was reading up on some of their like takes and their ideas on things, and I'm like, oh my god, these people have no idea what the hell's going on with this game, but they're isolated. They're in a bubble and they're just trying to play the game, but they just don't know about like wisdom caps and other things. And I'm just over here reading some of this, like, these people would probably have a better experience or a better idea of things if they had access to that knowledge. Was I going to give them access to that knowledge? No, I was just going to read the things and laugh and have a good time, because I can be a dick. I can be a dick sometimes.
I'm pretty sure the community made discords would grow too, and if they did need to shut down, the official Discord, at least the community ones would be so big at that point that the community would be there, and maybe the official Discords wouldn't matter. But if the experiment goes wrong, I don't think it's going to go wrong. I really don't. I don't even think Marco Cord would fit Square Enix guidelines. So
Probably would. Well, here's a fun story.
almost.
Part of the reason why Rise and them tried to shut you down is because they were attempting to go official at one point for some reason or another. And I even asked them, I was like, okay, you guys are trying to go official. what do you get out of doing that? Like, what do you get out of doing all of Discord's guidelines and everything? And none of them could give me like a real answer. It was just, I guess, something Fruit wanted to do, and that guy was never really involved anyway. So it's like I don't know if he would have gotten some money out of it or just prestige or whatever. But it was just like, what? So why are you guys trying to go official without Square and just do like through Discord? Then they had no idea. They just knew that the guidelines were pretty strict to where they would have had to have gotten rid of more people and delete a bunch of other channels and stuff to accommodate it. And I guess at the end of the day, Fruit said fuck it because he literally disappeared. And then, the server went to Rise and then it went to Amaru and, they played a game of hot potato with it.
I mean, there's a reason why we don't call it Umaru Cord. It's
Right.
he runs it, but does he?
No, no,
I don't
Marco
know.
runs it and he just has it in name.
I mean, yeah.
I can't blame him. It's a pain in the ass to run, a Discord with thousands of people on it. It's, I have several hundred on here, and well, actually, I haven't had many problems. I mean, aside from Hex and Chase coming in trying to be a creeper and not say anything in my Discord after he left the first time when my wife verbally beat his ass in, I haven't really had to get rid of anybody, except one or two creepers here or there. So it's been pretty tame.
Yeah, I mean, I only censored conversation that was putting words in Malcolm's mouth because I couldn't have that.
Well, yeah,
That's
I mean, the guy was saying, well, Malcolm says that the game's going to shut down next weekend or whatever. And from your
no,
perspective,
I remember the rough wording of it, and it was something like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen, but just talk to Malcolm in DMs, and the game's not going to make it." Something like
right.
that.
And people
And I was just like,
who
"Hell no!"
don't know him or don't know he's joking could have been like, oh shit, the game's closing down.
Because
I
I,
better not spend. So I get where you're coming from on that one.
yeah, and that for me is like, okay, you make that kind of statement. That's not even a warning. I'm not going to warn you, and you're not under any threat of being censored again, or in my bad graces, or you're not the ban hammer's not coming for you to be kicked from the server. Like that's fine. You make that statement. I'm just going to delete it. I'm not going to talk about it to you and be like, you know, don't do that again. Otherwise, I'm going to kick you. I don't care. I just got rid of it because I had to. It was like a need thing, like case. That's just the case, man. I just had to delete it. So, to be fair, I deleted the whole conversation and your end of it too, even though you didn't make that kind of
I didn't care. I was hoping you delete the
fallacious
comments on it.
statement.
I was hoping you delete shit.
I just deleted the whole conversation. To be fair, I just like purged it from the internet, even though yours had nothing to do with it. But I
Right, because
just
I
didn't
wouldn't
want
say
that
stupid
kind
shit
of
like
line of
that,
thought with nothing. So for him, it at least seems fair to his end too, or anybody's end. Is just like, okay, that no,
And it's weird because it seems like he legitimately enjoys the game, but he has to play off the fact that he wants the game to die. I don't.
that could be his natural temperament. He just has a
Yeah,
kind of a negative temperament, or it's just the constant sarcasm.
something. I mean, shit. But it's like I had to explain to a couple of people because some people took his word and they're like, "Oh God, is this really going to close? Are they doing this and that?" I'm like, "Look, here's the numbers. Here's what's going on. The game's getting more content. They're putting more effort into the game. They're not looking to close it down. And if they were, we would have been done around the first anniversary mark. We're not, not now, like 1.5 in, and no, it's just you know." Instead, they would have taken down some other games like Record Keeper or First Soldier, games that aren't performing well, and Die. They would have taken Die down. Well, they did take Record Keeper off, but I think they did that more because they didn't have any place else to go with that game. It's been 7 years, and maybe they'll do a sequel on it. But that's all these games have a shelf life to them. It's just a lot of them get to last for more than 5 years, and that's great, And eventually they go the way of the the dodo. But to say a game's gonna go downhill, but then you quit the game, give your account away, come back, buy my Guildy's account for $150, and tell people the game's dying. Like, who would buy it? That'd be like buying into NFTs right now. That'd be like saying, man, NFTs are doing really bad. I'm going to buy into them. It makes no sense at all.
It doesn't, no. But there are Piovas out there that might be a little scared with the state of the game, and I'm not going to question it. And I know that other people that aren't scared, but they don't know who Chase is. A lot of people don't now.
Lucky bastards. Game Vision came to me today, and he's like, "Did you see what Chase said about you on this?" And I'm like, I don't watch him, and I'm surprised you do. But then I realized that Game Vision has autism, so I understand.
Why do you always come out people with that?
Yeah, well,
you very well could be autistic.
Could be, could potentially. Well, I don't watch Chase, so I'm going to say no. No, I'm not. That's my defining factor. But he was like, "You guys are still going at it a year and a half later," and he's like, "That's impressive." Like, yeah, we are. I just wanted to admit the game's doing well at this point. I will go on record and say I will leave this motherfucker alone if he says on air that this game is doing well and it is not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. That's all I want from him at this point. Is that really too much to ask?
Okay. Maybe I would have said that you guys could have had like a Nira moment, but his temperament's a certain way, and he's a certain way, so I don't know if that's possible. But at the very least, if it was like this don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, you don't address me, I don't address you, or something. Maybe that could happen.
You're better off that way, Bugman. You're better off that way. It's just somebody who's been kicked out of a bunch of different communities, the Dokkan community, Magic the Gathering community, coffee shops, just been kicked out of a lot of things and is very, very angry and got banned from the Reddit and the Marco Court.
I managed to get along with him somehow. But I guess that might be... But you already knew that.
Well, you get along with everybody. I mean, you could sit down with Adolf Hitler and have coffee with him.
Well,
yeah, you're about to say yes. You're about to be,
I would be like, well, if the guy had a gun to my head, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't think he has to have a gun to your head for you to sit down and have coffee with him.
No, I would try to like psychologically analyze him and talk to him. Whereas other people are like, yes, I'm not trying to like say that the guy has a possibility of being good. No, that's the furthest thing from the case. But I would still, I can't kill the guy, right? Let's say in a theory, he's a powerful man or something.
Well, Phil says you would be starstruck. You'd be like, "Mr. Hitler, can I get your autograph, please?" Says Phil.
Yeah, sure. The same guy that said, who remembers the genocide of the Armenians before, invading, was it Poland? So he's quoted as saying that. So he used the Armenian genocide as a kind of way of saying, yeah, the Germans are going to get away with this, which they didn't. They probably chose the wrong ethnic group. They lost. Never lose, apparently. If you do a genocide, never lose. And the scale of it was just too large and too public and across too many country lines. So, yeah. Yeah, that's history for you, though. Without going too far off here. Did you lose me for a second there? Because I know I must have switched off Wi-Fi.
You're still good. We heard your insane rantings, and you're still here, so that's good. Oh, now we totally lost him. Oh, he's coming back now.
I was switching off of Wi-Fi, and there's also the earbuds I was putting in. I found my earbuds.
Okay, there we go. Now you're back. It took a delayed second.
Which part cut out from where?
Oh, the part about where you said the Holocaust didn't happen.
Ah ha 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 ha. No, but I was trying to say that the scale of it is probably, and losing is why people remember the Holocaust, whereas with the Armenian genocide, uh, uh, you know, they lost. So that's probably why people during Hitler's time, he said before invading Poland, and who remembers the genocide of the Armenians, something like that. So
So
yeah,
yeah, that was magical. But
world
yeah,
history
speaking
with
of
Pack.
world history with Pac, talking about Hitler and making comparisons with Chase, all that sort of fun stuff. So let's see. So we went over the Discord. We're not having that. We don't know what the hell's going to happen with if they're ever going to do a Discord for us, which is looking like they're not because I guess we all have our own and they don't want to be
If
victimized.
if we accept that notion, I think then it's probably likely never going to happen. If we just be like, nope, I don't care, and we're gonna get it, at least there's a chance.
I mean, I guess we could just pester the fuck out of him until he does something. I
Well,
mean.
poll the rest of the community. Do they want it? There's avenues for drama. We could keep drama off of the main court. It's not that hard, and everybody loves Malcolm. Like everyone loves Malcolm. Like there's a reason why there's
Yeah,
emojis
I
on
can't
servers.
say anything bad about the guy. I mean, he's been pretty straight with us. There's been a couple of times where he's been off base, but I
No,
think that was, it's
I
not
feel like
him.
that's just Square telling
Yeah,
him what he can and can't say, and we know that. We
right.
there's some limits. Like
That's the off base part is,
they
his
never told us
superiors.
why, global chat can't work in in the guild chat. They never exactly said why. And we've speculated a few things, but nothing's added up. And I feel like it's the same thing with having an official Discord, you know? So we won't get the straight answer, and I trust that there is some sort of weird company thing happening back there, but that the guy is trying. You could tell that he gives a shit. So that's nice.
Thank God for that, because if somebody didn't, we'd be in trouble. You know, we'd be in some real trouble, because when these companies don't have any sort of feedback and they just go off of what they know, I've learned that these corporations don't know jack shit about normal players. They don't know jack shit about their own
I mean, if they
games.
treat it just like a numbers game, they won't entirely know why some things are shifting a certain way. Like Malcolm has the in loop there. He knows what's going on, I think, and he
Well, he
probably doesn't have
plays
like the greatest account, but he plays the
he
game
plays the
a
game.
little bit.
That's the thing. He plays the game, and even I went back and I was like, you know what? I have to make an alt for my guild and stuff. I had to get some stuff set up. So I even went back and I started a new account. Was like, well, let me see what the new player experience is like, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's a lot easier than when I did things with all the events going on and all the extra gems you get and the rank up materials. And I'm just like breezing through the story content, and they just keep handing me free shit. So when people are like, "Oh, you don't get enough of orbs, or you don't get enough of this," and I'm like, I get plenty." And there's the reminiscence events too, where, you know, as a new player, you're not really going to be able to clear all the content or max awaken this or that. But so then those people have it a lot easier where they can just go back and do like DQ1 to get their orb there, or do some of these other events to get some of these other orbs. So it's not as bad as people would make it out to be. Although I do wish, and this is something I'll give Marco props for because he mentioned it, that there was a separate stamina pool for reminiscent events so that people aren't penalized. Because if you want to do 3x rank ups and also get something from the reminiscent side, tough luck. You're not, well, you have to choose. Do you want to go back and play legacy content? Or do you want to do the 3x event? Or do you want to rank up Stella, the new S rank unit you get for free? Or hunt maps and get frigs for fragments? Or do you want to do the legacy content and get a fraction of the return on it because you want to play catch up? You can't. The system is great. The battle roads are the best part of it because those are free. You can go back, you can get a lane up, you can get Baronmos up, you get Zoma up, all those units up for free. But if you need anything else out of those shops, like when they did an amendment for the summer shop, how many people right now actually went back to the summer shop with, the whole Giuliante thing, and they cleaned out the shop of the new items while everything else is going on? And I would say that percentage is either zero or very close to it.
I mean, I didn't clear out some of the unnecessary stuff, but I got the extra stacks of gold they had at the Giuliante shop. And, if I wanted to farm uh, Vendor Ghost Awakening Plus for the agility and wisdom, I would probably get a few more stuff here and there. I don't know. But they added a few new stuff, so that was good.
Right, they added new stuff, but it's like I haven't had anything to go back and get it. In fact, if I
You
knew that
never
we're
grabbed
gonna,
the stacks of gold before gold quest weekend gold quests. That was like one of the most efficient ways you could grab gold was going back for Giuliante and clearing those the initial stacks of gold out from the shop.
nah, this is me we're talking about. I've still got like 800k on me after all my rank ups. I don't need gold. I don't need gold at all. I'm
So
that guy.
strange.
Yeah. Well, I didn't rank up, all my equipment for perfect rolls, and I didn't do abilities and all that other stuff. And I
Did you do
guess,
the lower rank units?
oh yeah, I mean, right now I think let's see, I cleared everything
Like
low.
your Fs, your E's, D's, C's.
Let me
Do you
see right
max
here.
those or do you not care to? Do you skip them?
Oh no, I still care on those. So I did right
That
now.
still costs a lot of gold going through everybody. Maybe you just never level their abilities.
Some of them I leveled up, but I mean, I started rank 8 with like 1.3 million gold. I went through about 500k ish. So I've got all the F
Okay.
ranks done, all the E ranks, all the D. I still have to rank up some of the C rank units. I'm like halfway through, a little more than that. I've got most of the B ranks done as well. I mean, I've been doing the Battle Road ones. So, I mean, the thing is, I'm not going to rank up an ability unless I have a legitimate use for it. Like, and a legitimate use could be, is this going to help me get through a Battle Road quicker? Like Battle Road 8, I had to go back and level up some abilities to make things easier and quicker so I can get, the 22k clear quicker. Or, there's certain fights where I may have to go in and level up an ability to clear an EX fight. Or the last one is if I'm using a unit for PvP, you're damn right I'm going to plus 10 those skills because I'm using that for PvP battles. So otherwise, I'm not going to go through and rank up something just for the heck of it unless it's to get some attack points quickly. That's the only time you'll see me do some extra skill ups. I'm not just going to go through all my low rank units and be like, well, I guess I'm just going to let this yellow platypus guy, let's just plus 10 his skills for the fuck of it. Or I'll go in and be like, well, I guess I should try for perfect rolls on this one weapon that I may or may not use. Like, no, you go fucking bankrupt that way.
Fair enough.
Which I think is why most people went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Like, how much gold do you have right now?
All mines went to abilities. Remember, my ability leveling luck is terrible.
Oof.
First of all, I think I'm well above, under average, below average. So it's already terrible. On top of which, I just do too many. I just do too many. Even units that you use in arena, not all of them have to be at 10 technically. I used to not do that back in the day, but now I do it for if I use you in arena, it's everything's 10. Everything's 10. If I use CC, it's either at 50% or it's at 55 or higher. So and if I use you for guild v guild defense, it's at 100% for chance as well. Like I'm taking it to 10. Not
Yeah, you don't
100%.
want to just, go half-ass on it, because what if,
No.
the difference between plus 7 and plus 10, you end up getting, you know, a win, or you end up costing somebody an extra 20 points and you
Yeah,
win
you
the
want to cause an
GVG.
upset. You really want to cause an upset. Higher chance as much as possible. So yeah. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. There's some little events here. Sometimes I'll rank up stuff for a battle road. Just because I want to create that, like that four action or four
Right,
turn
you want to
clear you
get that
have with
thing done
Celia.
quickly. Like with Stella, I upped her Sizz ability to like 5 or 6 or 7, just so she could do more damage on Hell Gladiator and get it cleared quicker. Would I
Yeah,
use that skill in normal combat? Probably not. It's god awful. It throws her back 2 spaces. It's not the best skill in the world, but
throwing back two spaces might not always be a bad thing.
in GVG,
So
I don't think it's bad. But for like PVE, it could be.
it could
It could
it
take me
could be,
more
but it may
turns.
not. Like it because if she's gonna kite, if they move in, because she attacks first, right? So she attacks, she jumps back, the enemy moves in. Next turn she hits them again. That's not the worst thing. It's hard to use it for sure.
The thing is that any place you could really use it, it's at that point it's a Hail Mary, because if you're in a fight that is that long where you have to have a kite strategy, you are either at the end of your rope hoping to get this done,
Not
or
necessarily. It would just make it so the enemy couldn't hit you and had to move in. So imagine if you had like a four range ability, and what does this jump you back by? One or two tiles
two
currently?
tiles, two tiles
Two
currently.
tiles. Imagine if it only did one. One tile jump back and you have four range. That would be a god awesome ability, wouldn't it? Like a Valencia, but it jumps her back one space. That would be amazing.
I'd like that a
No?
lot more. That actually
That
saved
would
me some
be
time on the battle road, to be honest.
yeah, that would be pretty crazy. That would work out very well. Um, but yeah, so some of these things I just rank up too much. That's apparently where all my gold goes. Um, yeah, I realized that. So I got a problem because I knew that I was closer to players like Tengetsu apparently, who are much stronger accounts than my own, or Artia even, with the number of rank ups I had with tomes. Uh, than I uh, than I was to other day one players. Then I was close to other day one players like Marcos or something. Like me and Marcos are not too close in tome expenditure, but me and RT are technically closer than me and Marcos are to each other. So I found that hilarious.
Because let's
But yeah,
see, right here it says I've tried to upgrade abilities 24,300 times, and I've successfully upgraded abilities 2,519 times, so a little over
all right.
10%.
Okay, I gotta go into my numbers now too now. Get ready for this. Um, abilities 30,655 times. So 37,655 and successfully upgraded 4,078.
So, I mean, you've got a better percentage than me, but you've done
No,
13,000 more upgrades.
no, I don't necessarily have a better percentage because sometimes I would take how much gold does it cost to do the first rank up? Zero, right?
I believe
So
so.
if you
It's
want to
very minimal.
Yeah, so if you want to beef up your numbers just so you could get a few more of these 50 gems on the feat missions to get more feats, just do it on all of your units. Just put one tome on all of their abilities on every unit in the game, and you have a decent percentage, and you get a lot of gems out of it eventually. Um, Now, it doesn't cost you any gold. It costs you a few tomes here and there, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And I would, if you're pretty low on the feat section, you could probably do it, I think. Now for me, um, my actual percentage, if I was to rule out, the one and the two ability, the first, because I do that for a lot of units, I'll do
Hmm.
the one and the two. Uh, if I removed all those, my percentage is pretty terrible of
Oof.
successful rank up. It's god awful. But yeah, so I upgrade a lot of abilities. I probably do it too much. It's very expensive. and I should stop. I have
Now
a
the other thing
problem with
is, where are
that.
you at for equipment?
This one's not as bad. Usually, my first decent roll, I stop. So I'm not like Star Scream or Tropical Visions here. Uh, those are the only other people I know that their stuff.
Because I've
But I'm at
done.
four. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm at 6,231 for equipment alchemy.
Oh yeah, I'm nowhere there. Yeah, I'm 4,717.
So I've done a little bit more, but then my total gold for the account is 10.4 million.
Yep. So you could probably count that in just me ranking up abilities and having terrible shit luck at the higher ranks because the higher ranks cost more gold, right?
Yeah.
So if I get lucky at the low ranks, that's not going to do nothing for me, will it?
No, you save pennies, peanuts, nothing.
Yeah. And that's where the game screws me. It's like the +7, the +10s, those
Like
that
I think
range.
I showed one screenshot a long time ago where I forget what unit it was, but I went from 0 to +10 in like 37 tomes or something stupid.
Yeah, that almost never happens to me. I get
Yeah.
happy if it happens in like 50 or 60.
So like I must have went, I must have gotten all the early ranks in one shot, and then the 8, 9, and 10 were maybe within 10 books of each other. That never fucking happens. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I'd recommend most people stopping, at some of the sweet spots, 6, +6, +7, +5, +4, +3 even. Like whatever you need for a unit, just really keep it low. Uh, I'm one to talk, but
And you got to ask
maybe some of the
yourself,
arena
do I
units you could go
really
all
need
out
to
for.
plus this unit up? Do I really need to get this
I
skill up?
mean,
Is the other thing.
I don't know because people have been maxing out Discontinuum. It's at +10 for most people, right? For me, mine is still at +7. I don't have the gold to spend on it, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to. So his other ability is stronger. So he still goes to target
Right, he does the flame to take out the Omegas.
yeah, which is just funny. But so he's worked out. I saved a little bit of gold there, so I'm happy. And it hasn't screwed me on PvE yet. It might have, but because we got rank 8 early, it didn't. So I've got away with murder. Basically. Basically. The rank 8 gave me enough damage to make up for it, and I was barely muscling through it before with the rank 7 with some of the other events.
I mean, the only thing I'm blocked on right now are those new rainbow crystals. I've got plenty of irises again. I think I'm over 100, so I'm good in that regard. I've got plenty of materials to play with. It's just I've gone like 6 days without getting a hit on them, and it's like fuck. I need some for Stella, or now I'm gonna need 2 for Corvus, so I'm not even gonna R8 Stella.
Hmm.
Hope to God I don't have to wait a week to get. Well, let's be honest. This is me we're talking
She's an
about.
arena unit. People do use her in arena. As much as you didn't like the jump back, the blowback on the ability or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'm not going to use her in arena.
So why rush things? Why care? She's not
right.
going to be
It's
used
like
anywhere.
but it's
Your
just,
Seraphie is going to heal for more than she ever will.
yeah, but I
You
like to
have
get it
his
done.
damage.
If I can get it done, I like to get it done quickly and just.
But you're
Not
not going to
think
max
about
her
it.
abilities then, are you?
No, I only put her Sizz ability up to like 6 or 7 just to make her battle road easy, and I'm not going to use her
Okay.
in PvP unless or.
Sizz Force?
I might use Sizz Force, but that doesn't need to be +10.
No.
And
I just meant bringing her as a unit to some sort of stage, and then you might use his force, and then you might end up using one of her attacking abilities anyway, so you might as well get the attacking abilities up. So you might use her in content, you
maybe.
never know.
Well, I mean, realistically,
Just
I
say
would probably use her when they do Dread Dragon's Blossom when that gets released. That may be a time when I use that and use him as a good combo with her. So that's a potential.
Mhm.
If his Blossom's actually good, I just know he's getting a Blossom and we're getting it eventually. I've never looked at it, and I'm gonna be either surprised or disappointed. One of the two.
Okay.
But realistically, I think we've kind of gone over everything. New banners coming. The live streams
Timeline's
coming.
accelerated.
Timeline is definitely accelerated, despite whatever anybody else says. Things
Said.
or said. Well, there's other people who tried
Some
to
people
say,
said, but then
yeah,
it changed. You know, now they
right,
can't hide it. They can't keep the shit under the rug.
right.
It's
We
there.
are getting fast tracked. I don't care what people think or what people said. We are definitely getting fast tracked. Are they going to close the lights and shut the doors down because they're doing this? No. But are people going to be out of free gems potentially or have to make some really hard decisions soon? Yeah. People are going to have to make some hard decisions, and we're going to see people either paying or they're going to be like what you mentioned where they just get that realization where they can't get everything and they pick and choose their battles at that point.
Yeah, but now they're no long because if you had them in this forever loop of trying to get all the question mark units or something, you just broke them from that cycle, which may be a good thing for their addiction if they're addicted to doing that for whatever reason. But at the same time, you might have lost that kind of expenditure that you'd get out of that customer. So
Well,
I don't
look
know.
at it this way, though. They lose it from him, but then there's always somebody else who maybe was ranked 2 before. They step into that seat, and now they're paying every month to carry on that torch. So the rank
Maybe.
up system's evil. It definitely motivates people to spend, even though you don't get anything out of it. But it's like something I learned in gaming. There's always like two opposing forces that are going to go against each other no matter what. So if one force fizzles out, like I fizzled out in nature, and then Nico took it up and he started spending stupid money, and then Artia was kind of catching up to him and taking over. So it's tough to say if he's going to try and spend again or if he's just going to kowtow to Artea if he does indeed lose it for a long period of time. So it's really, really tough to say, but it's like, well, maybe that's a good thing. We broke the cycle on him spending, and now he can go and do other stuff, or he's going to double down and try even harder and spend even more money to get it back. It's a
Who
vicious
knows,
cycle.
man? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Uh,
And then, since
just
this is
gotta
a
look
little
for
bit
the.
different, does anybody have any questions for me or Pack while we're here? Since, well, I don't.
Have you sobered up? You probably sobered up by now.
Yeah. I mean, I was several drinks in. I think I did pretty good. I don't think I said anything horrible besides the fact that you may or may not have denied a national tragedy, but that was
I
about it.
wasn't here for that.
Oh,
I was disconnected. So
okay.
I don't know.
Oh, you were disconnected from the Holocaust. I understand completely.
National tragedy. Whose nation are we talking about? We're in
Germany.
America, sir. We're in America.
Hey, somebody brought up the German channel earlier, so that's why I said national tragedy.
Okay.
But, well, let's
See, are
see
we
here.
getting any
I'm going to
questions?
see if we've got any questions here. I'm trying to remember the last time I was actually on a legitimate video podcast with you, and I don't. Have we ever done one before?
No.
No, okay, we haven't. I've done
I
one
mean,
with
you've
Black.
hopped on my channel, basically, and that's about it.
Yeah, but it wasn't, video to
But it
video.
was casual because you were on, the voice channel, and I happened to be streaming.
Right.
That's
I just
usually how
popped
it
in.
goes down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of like a guest appearance. I come in there and start talking shit.
Yeah. That's pretty much why I have you in my channel description is because for your Discord and stuff like that is because people might want to know who is this guy who keeps popping in every now and
Who
then.
the fuck is this asshole? Are you going to pull on the 48-hour banners? I'm going to pull on the Dolmagus one because I do not have Dolmagus.
You,
Are you going to pull on any
you
pack?
don't?
No, I don't have.
You don't?
I don't have Dolmagus. I've said this
I'm
multiple
shocked.
times. I'm like,
I had no idea. That's a tragedy.
yeah,
That is.
I
Don't
have suffered through.
don't get him to rank 8. Save your gold. I know you don't care about the gold, but save your max then. Don't get him to rank 8. Get him to at least rank 7. Trust me, you're already getting Corvus. Corvus has a shit ton of HP. You could do some low HP strats with Dolmagus and utility, and then you could save the damage and the immunity kind of shit with Corvus. So keep those two separate. You don't need to go hard on Dolmagus. I'm only spending 6K on his banner just because there's a chance that I don't get Dolmagus and get somebody else instead. I actually don't want to pull Dolmagus on Dolmagus's banner. I don't want
Oh.
Bob either. Bones of
Well,
Eremos. I'd rather just get a random unit at that point.
Isn't
Uh,
Dolmagus paired up with Nock for that banner, or is it Bones of Baramos and
Bones of
Dolmagus?
Baramos and Dolmagus. Nock is paired with the Stark. So I'm probably, because physical units scale so well with Awakenings, and Nock scales very well with his Awakenings, because let's face it, he every stat in the game he buffs himself for.
Right.
So
I want to
he
get his
inevitably
last
scales
awakening.
very well with his stat.
I do have my
I
Nock
don't.
at 4.
I have him at 1 awake. I have him at 1 awake. I would love 3 awake even. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try for 15K. I don't know if I'll go that route. I'll put 15K on him, and I'll put 6 on everybody else, begrudgingly on Dolmagus, because I actually don't want an awakening on Dolmagus. My Dolmagus is still S7, and I'm probably keeping him that way at this point. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Well, I
We'll
couldn't
see how
R8
that
him if
goes.
I wanted to, because again, the first one I'm going to R8 is going to be Corvus when I get him. I mean, if I have to,
Do you
you know.
do you do you have Bones of Baramos?
No, I don't have Bones of Baramos either.
Okay, so if you do, how far are you going into these 48-hour banners?
I don't know yet.
6, 15?
I
How
have,
much gold do you have saved up, and how much will you buy on that day?
well, I only have about 2K gems saved up, and maybe I'll do an $80 pack. Maybe I'll do a little bit more. I don't know yet. We'll see. Nothing too
An
crazy.
$80 pack's not going to get you too many
Yeah,
of
it's
those
not.
48
But I've been budgeting.
hour
Unless I ask the wife,
banners.
like, hey,
You're gonna
you know, could I do a
choose.
little bit more?
You're six. You're gonna put 6K into. Yeah, so you're gonna be putting 6K into 2 different 48-hour banners, and that's pretty much it. That's what it sounds
Probably,
like to me.
unless
So you have to
I
choose
can
very
explain it
carefully
to
what your
the
6K is gonna
missus.
be.
Be like, hey, can I budget a little bit more?
Or
You know.
you work too, so you could probably save a little bit of your own money, or do you guys just do the collective kind of money
We
thing
do a
together?
budget for my entertainment because of how crazy I got back in the day. So
Okay,
there is
cool.
a budget in place. So I may try and push the budget a little bit more because there's a lot of cool events coming up. And since I'm not spending a lot of money
Yeah.
on games anymore, since I got the PlayStation Premium, maybe we'll go that route.
Are you allowed to roll back your budget? Like if you don't spend this month, does that part of the budget disappear, or do you get to save it for the
It's
next
like
month?
gems. With
Can you
me,
roll it over?
I use up that budget as much as I can per set period. I don't save anything. This is
No,
what
I
I'm
meant
talking
I
about.
meant I meant theoretically, if you didn't spend this month, does the wife say, okay, you have that budget on top of next month's budget for next month, or
Technically, yeah, it would roll over.
what you don't use?
It
Oh,
would.
does roll over?
Yeah, it would be a roll.
Okay.
It would be extra, but at this point, I had to pull on fucking Terry. I had to pull on fucking Human Zorro. The budget was getting used every chance I had. So, and I was pulling on Diamond Slime too. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah, so at this point, I would recommend roll over. You got your Corvuses, tap out for as long as you can, and roll over your budget until we're caught up with JP.
I
And
think
then
that's the play.
go all out on whatever Sorrow, whoever dethrones Sorrow.
Yeah, but
Basically.
I like the gambling aspect. I like being able to pull, even though it's not. I like throwing in $80 here, $80 there, and
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
you'll
get me.
eventually, somewhere down the line, you'll put $200 all at once, maybe 4 or 5. How long do you think that it'll take for us to catch up with JP? Another year?
Realistically, I'd say 1.5
Or maybe even
years.
1.5?
1.5. I
mean,
think is the pacing.
we were catching up pretty slow at first,
Because
and then they ramped us up.
right. Well, here's my logic: is realistically, we've cut about half the time off, and we're almost to the 1.5 mark right now. And maybe we'll have some rapid pacing. Maybe we won't. It's tough to say. So I mean, if we keep to our kind of inconsistent pacing, it'll be another 1.5 years. But you could be right. We could accelerate and rocket through, and maybe it will be a year, or maybe it'll be even less than that, depending on how crazy they get. But people don't want them to accelerate too fast because we're definitely losing days, we're definitely losing stam and other things from them doing this thing and not getting anything in return for it. So they need to do something to balance that out. I don't know if that's giving us extra stam items for free, if that's giving us more gems, if that's giving us some more time on some of these banners. I don't know. I don't know. There's just too many different ways to go. But what I do know is they have definitely pushed us pretty quickly into this, and we can't really predict what's going to happen with JP anymore.
That's going to be sad. I not predicting things with JP.
Yeah, this is a really poor time to accelerate. I will agree. I was hoping that Corvus was going to come out in September, and there wouldn't have been anything else around that time, and I would have just grabbed both of them, got a couple of awakenings. Now it's like, well, I'm going to hope I just get Corvus one each and then fragment up the one I want to fragment up, because I can't fucking afford to go over budget to try and chase this shit.
Mm.
But anyway, on that note, I think we're going to call it here for tonight. We definitely went over the hour, which I already knew we would, because this is Pack and this is me, and we can definitely talk.
You're drinking. Yeah, and you're drinking.
And,
you were drinking.
And
so.
I was drinking, so there was.
Well, one thing. You're spending all your figs on the question mark fragments, yeah? I feel like that's the most important one anyway.
Actually, I spent a couple of them just to get Terry done, and now I'm working on the question mark ones because I wanted to get.
Don't
Terry
buy any of the orbs. We have too many.
No,
orbs.
I'm not going to do the orbs. I mean, realistically, right now, they are going to all go to question mark because I do need question mark, and I've gotten. Let's see, how many have I actually gotten for figs? So right now, I have gotten a total of 31 figs since the event started, which isn't too bad. I'm going to buy 12 fragments right now. That's good. I'm going to hope to God we get more figs or whatever soon, because I am going to need to buy all of those motherfuckers up to.
Have you bought all the maps from the shop yet? The Dragon Quest one.
I've got 13k tokens. I can definitely. Let me buy the orb right now.
The very mysterious land map. That one's the one that gives you the figs. Yeah. Have you bought those ones from the?
Yeah, those are gone already. I bought those.
Okay.
I just bought all the irises. Let me buy most of them.
Okay, so counting those, I'm at 25 figs so far, and I haven't spent a lot of my my figs. I mean, I haven't spent any of my figs, and I haven't spent a lot of my herbs and stuff because I'm waiting for the next event to come out, so I could get the event shop tokens for that one instead of what we have currently. Because I'm practically done with Dragon Quest Monsters. I don't know if I need any of the event medals from that shop.
You probably don't, and I just... Well, let me see here if I got another map, because I did do a couple of runs on Dark Paul, since I don't need Stella anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into Awakening Plus, and I'm gonna keep
a few on her. I didn't do too crazy.
I'm gonna keep my Dark Paul at 1 awake. I don't know if he's a useful unit for anything, so...
Didn't get any maps there. Okay, did I get?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Agility on Stella for sure.
Let's see. Did I get any extras for him?
Do we get any new units with Part 2?
I think we do. I think we get the Shark.
Oh, the Leviathan dude.
Leviathan, I think, is coming, and he's gonna be definitely gonna want to farm him up. So we'll see, though. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining. I want to thank Pack for doing this short notice, because again, this was super late, and Met was going to come on, but Met had to go to bed or his girlfriend would beat him, so there was no way he was going to stay up late. I mean, it would have been 3 a.m. for him on the East Coast when we finished this up, so it just wouldn't have happened. All right, guys, You take care. We're going off the air. See you next time.